In February 2020, I found my place in my closet and I shut the door and I started a podcast. Convenient timing, wouldn't you say? I brought the world into my closet during a rather pivotal time and it was so much fun. And in this first season, I'm starting the 5th season of the Homeschool Mama Self-Care podcast. First season, really awkward, like legit. I'm really awkward, but I'm not deleting it because, and here's why, I'm even more awkward on my YouTube channel if you go way, way, way back. And reality check, that's how I was when I was uncomfortable with the idea of actually putting my voice out there and recognizing what I actually look like and how I sound and how I'm coming across. And as I edited these podcast episodes, I realized I'm not always listening, or maybe I heard something, but I didn't hear it the right way. I learned a lot about how I was communicating with other people. I certainly learned about really owning myself and just showing up authentically, just being real, which was great, I think, as an example, both for me, like the little me is going, podcast, you're shy, you're introverted, you're scared to do this kind of stuff. And the big Teresa or the adult Teresa is saying, you know what? No, even this, you can grow into this. You're still growing up and you can grow even into this. And I don't want to just do this for me. I want to also show you this is what can happen when you follow the things that you love. I didn't know that I was going to love podcasting. I started podcasting, don't tell, because I wanted to meet Julie Bogart. That is like God's honest truth. And it turns out that is a lot of work, actually, to invite Julie Bogart into my closet. But it turns out I've met hundreds of other people and have been so grateful to be influenced by their presence in my homeschool and in my life. And in this very first episode of the very first season, I share with you why I homeschool and why I think self-care practices are a necessity for the homeschool mom. And there's a reason I thought it was kind of important. And it was actually coming out of my life where I wasn't taking care of myself. And I share my whole story in the first episode, but I share it a lot. If you see it in the YouTube channel or on my Instagram account, I'll share it every time you join me in group coaching or one-on-one coaching. You'll hear me talk about that because it is pivotal for how I decided to begin to take care of me. But I wrote a book before I even podcasted. I wrote a book in my fruit orchard with my chickens. And I wrote a book about how we need to take care of ourselves. And that was a really great way for me to summarize all the things that I've been learning over my almost a couple decades of homeschooling 4 of my kids who are now age 14 to 22. So on that first episode, I share that my name is Teresa. I'm a homeschool mom that is in British Columbia, Canada. My kids I've got 2 kids that are all graduated. I've got a third almost graduated and a fourth, 14, as I said. And I share with you why I decided to homeschool. And it wasn't conventional reasons. In fact, I was trying to create reasons against homeschooling because it seemed like everybody was doing it. And I just didn't want to be not that person. Don't have any jean jumpers. Yes, I thought that. And I also didn't want my kids to be weird. And it turns out kids are weird because their parents are weird. And so, sorry, kids. So it turns out I have loved this homeschool lifestyle, and I share you what drew me to homeschooling and what kept me homeschooling and the eye-opening moments along the way, like I learned that little girls in little white dresses, because my vision of homeschooling was going to be little girls in white dresses going in and out of the door, outside to garden and to do some art and, to learn about classical music and all those fun things. But I learned that little girls in white dresses grow up to not want to wear dresses at all. They prefer American Eagle or Lululemon. And, but my homeschool choice, I learned was the right choice. And I'm so glad that I joined the ranks of the homeschool families way back long ago. So I introduce you to my homeschool podcast. If you have an idea for a podcast series, or if there's a specific issue you'd like me to address on the podcast, please let me know. You can find this podcast, the Homeschool Mama Self-Care podcast, on all the podcast players. And I would love to meet you, because I don't want it just to be certain people in my closet. I want it to be actually, no, I don't want anybody in my closet. You come to my house, I would serve you a cup of tea, and we would never make it into that closet. But even though we're probably not living right next door to each other, in fact, I know we're not because I know my neighbors, I would love to have a cup of tea with you so you can connect with me if you want to consider coaching, or if you want to join the Patreon support group where we support each other as homeschool moms. You're welcome to do that. And we will sit and chat and get to know each other. So introduce yourself to me.